had time to become what, a dining hall prefect back in the day at the Opokwari. Doc, how you doing? Good to see you.
Very well, very well.
How are you doing?
How did you know about the Opokwari story?
I'm a journalist. Journalists will always find information when we want it.
Right.
How is the Agric ministry doing?
Doing very well. In fact, you look at the statistics, all the evidence are there that we've been very busy the last 5.5 years.
Right.
And the results are there for everyone to see. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, we've had rising food prices in the urban areas.
Right.
And people wrongfully say it's because there's food shortage. There's no food shortage in Ghana. In fact, if you look at the rate of growth of the economy, sector by sector, agriculture just stands out as the one sector which is doing extremely well. The last 3 years, growth in the agricultural sector has been growing in 2019 from 4.9%, 2020 to 7.4%, and last year, 2021, to 8.4%. And this is happening in the eye of the storm, the COVID, which has hit the whole world and causing a lot of havoc in terms of food supplies and shortages and so on. But we are still very, very strong. So whatever we are doing with Planting for Food and Jobs is a great success. We've had to take a lot of money from the Ghanaian taxpayer for the program, for one aspect of the program, the module on food security. 2.6 billion Ghana cedis in 5 years to subsidize just seed and fertilizer. And when we do the calculations in terms of the impact on cultivation, the area grown, the amount of food that has been produced, and the value of the food produced at the farm gate in terms of the prices, we are looking at 50 billion Ghana cedis. That's how much the 2.6 billion of Ghanaian taxpayer has generated in food, in grains, and foodstuffs generally. So if you invest 2.6 billion and you get 50 billion, nobody can say that's a failure. And that is feeding into this growth. You see, the growth is also accelerating. Because if you are talking about the last 3 years, 4.7, 7.4, 8.4 in 3 years. That's the rate at which the growth is performing, is also growing. It's equivalent to taking your car on the motorway from Accra to Tema. And you put your foot on the accelerator. The car goes from 20 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour. That is what agriculture's performance has been the last few years.
These are figures, and that's what the people on the streets and their homes will say, that you quote very nice figures, but is there really food security in Ghana?
Yeah, I mean, how else do you measure? You have to be scientific about whatever you do. You can only work with statistics. That's the ultimate truth. If you sit in your house and you don't have enough money to buy all the things that you want, okay? That is your view that, oh, I'm not getting what I want. But we have to take the aggregate. We are talking about 31 million people. An economy the size of 80, 90 billion US dollars. That's my job as the sector minister, to look at the sector performance. And the sector performance can only be done when we look at the monitoring. And what do you monitor? You monitor by acreages that the farmers, the amount of resources you've given to the farmers, what they've done with those resources, and what is the output. That's the only way.
So, for example, the inflation for July is 31.7. A large chunk of it is food inflation.
That's right.
We have Planting for Food and Jobs, Planting for Export and Rural Development, Rearing for Food and Jobs. We have the Crops Authority. We have all these things within the sector. Now, if we are importing more food, as the data shows from the Ghana Statistical Service, there's cause for worry. And then people start asking questions about the figures.
Yes, but which food are we importing more than the others? We are exporting food. You see, these are the facts. We have become the breadbasket of West Africa.
What are you exporting?
We are exporting all 19 in 2019, which is the latest year that we have monitored, and we are still doing it. We're exporting 19 food items to our neighboring countries as far as Mali, as far as Nigeria.
What are these 19 food items?
Oh, all the grains.
But you have banned
Fruits.
the exportation of food.
Sorry?
You banned the exportation of food two times already.
That's only recent, please. I'm talking about the 5.5 years of my administration at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Right.
It's only the last 60 months that we are talking about banning exports.
No,
in any case,
the banning of the exports, was announced last year by your deputy.
Yeah, but that was
so it's more than 6 months.
No,
we're in August.
That came into office. That came into effect only last September.
Right. So it's more than 6 months.
Yeah. So that is for 6 months, and then we have renewed it for another 6 months to September. So it's a temporary ban. If we didn't have food here, why would we ban? Why would we ban? That's simple logic. It means that there's something there to go out that we are trying to stop from going.
But then that will be curious, sir, because then Planting for Food and Jobs, which we've spent, close to 700 million a year, over 600 million a year for it. We have maize, we have rice,
all the grains.
We have all the grains. And these are the ones that we said we are not going to allow for exportation because we need the food to eat here. If we are spending so much to plant, and yet we are banning the exportation of same, question is, where is what we planted?
No, you see, when we don't produce across the 12 months. We have seasonality in our agriculture.
Right.
Because we are more dependent upon nature, upon rainfall. In the southern part of this country, we have 2 rainfall seasons.
That's right.
In the north, they have 1. So our agriculture is very dependent on the rainfall patterns. So there are certain seasons where during the dry period, stocks are at their lowest, so prices are at their highest. There are certain seasons when we have harvested that there's a lot of stocks, prices are at their lowest. And that happens every year.
Right.
Okay? So that is the pattern that we are saying that in the dry season, there's less stocks. So let's preserve what we have. In any case, that trade that we are talking about is in the informal sector. We are now trying to bring it into the formal sector by the creation of the Grains Development Authority, for instance,
we'll come to that.
Which is now before Parliament.
Okay.
And when they resume, the Committee of Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs will consider it. And we are hoping that by the last quarter of this year, the bill will become an act of Parliament, so we can create the authority to be able to formalize this very important trade. You know, build a buffer stock, regulate the trade by issuing licenses and all those things that we want to do.
See, so you talk about rainfall patterns and you talk about 2 seasons.
Yes.
But that's why your government threw in one village, one dam to help with irrigation. So, for example, maize takes a 4-month gestation period. Is that correct?
90 days.
90 days. So I'm even being. So in a year, you can plant maize for 4 times and harvest for 4 times if you have the right irrigation. 2 seasons, you get nature, and then the other 2, you can irrigate a plant. So that under you, each year would have done 4 times harvest. If we were putting in the one village, one dam, that's what I'm throwing in now.
Yeah, but you see, you are talking about something which is utopia.
How is that?
It's utopia because you cannot get you cannot get irrigation to all farmers in Ghana. Okay. It is going to cost more than the GDP of Ghana to put irrigation.
But you promised one village, one dam.
Yeah, but that is, you see, it's a slogan. And a slogan is where you want to get to. It may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, but you start somewhere. And you get people to understand that this is what we are trying to do.
So how many dams do we have now? How many dams do we have supporting your Planting for Food and Jobs now?
Well, the dams, you see, this One Village, One Dam was done under a different ministry.
Right.
Ministry of Special Initiatives.
Right.
Okay, it wasn't under my ministry.
I get it.
So I cannot account for it.
But you're supposed to be working together to achieve
but
food
it's
sufficiency.
It's different if it was under my ministry. Okay, there's a ministry with a minister in charge who's been assigned this task. You cannot go and take it from them. If it is in my ministry, then my personnel and everything is all there for us to see the extent to which we have done the work and how the progress is being done. But it's a bit unfair to say that because it's supporting my ministry, I should be responsible for accounting for it.
That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying, how has it helped you? Because your first job, your mandate is to ensure that there's food security and food sufficiency.
And we have it.
That was what the president gave you on the 11th of January, 2017, when he announced it at the Jubilee House. So that now I'm asking, plenty for food and jobs, which was not even part of your manifesto promises. It was later, according to Dr. Marcus Ibeyeboa. But aside that, adding on to that is one district, one factory, one village, one dam. And I'm asking how the dams have helped, because you hinged your answer on the 2 rainfall seasons. And I'm saying that given the right irrigation, we could have harvested at least 3 or 4 times every year.
But this is why I'm saying that you cannot say that, because you know how many billions of dollars it will cost to get to where you are trying to get to, where you can have 3 or 4 harvests in a year. It's something. Look, the Pualugu Dam alone is costing $1 billion, and it's 25,000 hectares. Ghana has what, over 750,000 square, you know. So you cannot just say that the assumption is that you can have 4 seasons. You have to deal with the reality on the ground. And the reality on the ground, you have to prioritize depending upon the resources which come to you as a minister. And what we have done is to ensure that the large number of smallholders who still produce 90% of our agricultural output are our targeted group in terms of food security. So we give them fertilizers, we give them seeds. Being mindful of the fact that these resources at the market level the farmers cannot afford it, because smallholder farmers are some of the poorest group of workers in this country. Right. We decided that we will share the price with them.
By what much?
So the government will take 50% of the cost of a bag of fertilizer, will take, in some cases, 90% of the cost of improved seed, so that it becomes affordable for the farmers to apply. And that strategy has worked. 1.7 million farmers have so far benefited in the 5 years of our stewardship.
Is there really free fertilizer or subsidized fertilizer?
No, not free.
No, subsidized fertilizer. Is there really on the market? Because the farmers...
No, at the moment, there isn't.
Because I'm asking this because the farmers say, look, Yara and OCP, which is the best that they would prefer, is not available in terms of the subsidized one, 15%, right? And that they would go onto the open market to acquire these fertilizers because they can't afford to use the other ones.
Are you aware of what is happening to the world global market, the world economy? Ghana is totally dependent upon imports of these items. And you are very much aware about what has happened with the COVID to world industry and so on. So there is a global shortage of fertilizer.
Right.
Okay? So prices of fertilizers have trebled, have even quadrupled in some cases. Right? So that is happening in the last couple of years. But the first 3 years, when there were no such things as the COVID and so on, we had a very good run where the 50% subsidy, the 90% of fertilizer, the 90% subsidy on seeds have actually been implemented. Okay. What you are referring to is a recent shortage.
Right.
And this one, I'm saying that let's talk about the 5.5 years of my stewardship, not just the last 2 years where we've been hit by COVID globally, which for the first time since 1919, the world economy has been disturbed by this whole arrangement, and then followed this year by this war in Europe.
I'm taking a look at your manifesto, page 17, which covers the Agric sector. It says areas to upscale, planting for food and jobs, food crops module. It says 1, increase supply of fertilizer and certified seed, especially rice, soya, poultry, to meet import substitution agenda. Increase fertilizer usage from 20 kg/ha to 30 kg per hectare by 2025. Facilitate rice production and processing to reach self-sufficiency in 2023. Expand national grain storage capacity from 51,300 metric tons to 370,000 metric tons by 2025. Facilitate access to financing and all of that. So you have a plan for fertilizer. When are we actualizing this such that we have the import substitution? We don't have to depend on Russia, Ukraine. If they sneeze, we catch a cold.
You mean for fertilizer?
That's right.
We have been talking to Morocco, OCP, right from the beginning of the Akufo-Addo administration. The first head of state who paid a state visit was the King of Morocco, King Hassan IV. And one of the agreements we made was for them to help us to establish a fertilizer manufacturing plant.
Right.
And at the time, Ghana was just beginning to be self-sufficient in gas production. Since then, we've had more gas coming onto the market. In fact, we have more than enough to the extent that we had to pump some back into the earth and all of that. So in those 5 years, I don't know how many times I have visited Morocco and how many times they have visited us. In fact, only 3 weeks ago, OCP, West African Managing Director, was with me here. We have a site that we have designated in the Western region.
Right.
We are doing all kinds of things. But putting a plant in place will cost you $2 billion US. It's not cheap. The Moroccans are prepared to come up with equity of 40%. They've asked us to come up with a 60%. The 60%, we are looking for partners to take up the 60% because the government of Ghana hasn't got that kind of money to invest in it. Okay, so this is an ongoing effort to try to establish a plant, a $2 billion plant, which will be able to produce 2 million metric tons of NPK every year.
Will it be actualized under your watch?
I don't think so. Because
why don't you think
the
so?
Construction alone, we are talking about finance. Once we finish with the financing, we get equity partners to come in to raise the 2 billion. It takes 4 years to put up a manufacturing plant. And I don't think I'll be the Minister of Agriculture in the next 4 years. So it wouldn't happen. Whoever it is will take it up. But I'm saying that the government of Ghana is making every effort to ensure that we utilize the newfound surpluses of our gas to produce fertilizer, not only for our farmers, but also for neighboring countries as well. There's a big demand for fertilizer. We have popularized fertilizer. Before we came into office, the average application of fertilizer in Ghana was only 8 kilograms per hectare. The world average is 130 kilograms per hectare. West African heads of state in 2007 targeted 50 kilograms per hectare. Through planting for food and jobs, we've been able to move from 8 kilograms per hectare to 25 kilograms per hectare last year. And had it not been the global shortage and so on, I'm sure we would have made a lot of progress on that. So we've made significant gains. You know, for 3 times in 5 years, it's quite significant. So we are making progress. The Rome wasn't built in a day. So as we go along, we improve our
the warehouses for storage of food. And recently we heard about food shortage in secondary schools. Education minister had to go supply them with some food. We owe buffer stock. Are the warehouses really warehouses storing food in the strict sense of the word, or do we just have white elephants?
What is happening in the schools is a financial situation. It's nothing to do with the availability of food.
Do we have food in the warehouses?
Please, let me answer.
Sorry, right.
People confuse the fact that, schools are not having food, and therefore there's a shortage of food. It's got nothing to do with it. Suppliers have supplied food to the schools and have not been paid. And they are saying that they need their money to go back to continue with their services. and so on.
Right.
It doesn't mean that there's no food out there. And I want us
But do you have
to take
food in
the
your
opportunity.
warehouses?
No, we don't have stocks.
Why don't you?
We
have
don't, because there's no institution which is clothed with a facility to be able to raise the kind of money needed to run a buffer stock. The Grains Development Authority, which I mentioned earlier in our conversation,
Before
is the
Parliament.
one, yes, because that would be the equivalent of Ghana Cocoa Board for cocoa farmers, where they can even go abroad and borrow money to come, like Ghana Cocoa Board does every year. So that is the authority which will be able to raise money, both domestically and externally, to support the grain trade, to support the buffer stock and all of that. At the moment, Ghana does not have the facility.
So what have we been doing all this while? With all this talk about buffer stock, we're building warehouses here and there.
Well, the warehouses, 80 warehouses have been built, have been handed over to us. We are waiting for the creation of the authority to give them, to hand over those assets to them to operate. Because as a government, we are not in a position, we are not traders. We are policy makers. We create the environment for the private sector to operate. We need to be, one part of the environment is to build infrastructure for the private sector.
Right.
So we built 80 warehouses around the country in the last 5 years. They have been handed over to us as the ministry responsible for these. In fact, even 30 of those warehouses were constructed by us directly, and another 50 were constructed by the former Ministry of Special Initiative, the same one ministry that you talk about, the One Village, One Dams, yes. So, but we have taken over them, and we are waiting, hopefully, by the end of this year, we should be able to have the authority.
So in the meantime, Doc, what are we putting in those warehouses?
No, they are new warehouses.
Are they there just there?
No, they are not there. Farmers are, you go to Gambaga, warehouse in Gambaga is full to the hilt.
With what?
With maize and stuff. And this is private arrangement. We have handed over these temporarily to the district assemblies, the district chief executives, to take care of them until this new authority comes. In the meantime, if farmer groups or commercial farmers want to use them, they make local arrangements with the district chief executives, and they use them. But they are not fully meant for that purpose. District chief executives are not the ones who are going to manage these warehouses. It's the Grains Development Authority which is going to do so.
Then the question comes: if we have maize, for example, in these warehouses, we have soya in these warehouses. That's what the poultry farmers use for their feed. Poultry farms are vanishing. I don't know if you are aware.
They are not vanishing.
Poultry farmers are complaining. They say, look,
complaining but not vanishing.
Well, some are shutting down because they say, look, it's become expensive to manufacture feed. Maize that used to sell at $350 is now $500 and over. Soybeans that used to sell at X amount is selling so much, and they need to put them together to manufacture the feed. They can't, so they are chickening out.
Well, you know, about a month ago, I was in Damahinkro, which is what I call the poultry capital of Ghana.
Right.
And I met over 100 farmers to interact with them. The issue is to do, as you know, prices of food had gone up for various reasons. One, the cost of production has gone up because fertilizer, when it was 120 cedis a bag, is now 400 cedis and all of that. So you expect prices of the product to go up at the farm gate.
Right.
Now, those who have to cart the food from the farm gate to the markets, because of the increase in fuel prices, have also increased their prices. And then the wholesalers and the retailers and all that. So the value chain has just stepped up for all kinds of reasons. They've gone up. It means that the working capital of the poultry farmer has also gone up.
Right.
I mean, it's not a question of the product not being there, but the price has doubled or tripled.
But how are they able to compete then with those who are importing?
Yeah, but this is why I'm saying that with that, it was up to their bankers to realize that the working capital which they used to have has doubled, and therefore they need financing from the banking sector to top up for them. But the banks are not providing the credit for...
Have you spoken to them?
Oh, yes.
As a leader of the sector?
Yes.
What have they been telling you?
Well, I mean, what are they telling us? They will tell you, oh, yes, we are trying our best. But the performance, look, total agricultural credit in this country is only 3.4% of total commercial credit in Ghana.
That's not adequate.
No, it's not a question of being adequate. It means it doesn't exist, because that 3.4%, more than half of it is for cocoa traders, LBCs, the licensed buying companies.
Right.
They are traders of cocoa. They are not farmers, and are they processors of feed or whatever. So there is very inadequate supply of farm credit in this country, even by West African standards. The president himself invited all managing directors of banks last year to Jubilee House in June last year, 2021, to give the opportunity, in the presence of the governor of the bank, the Minister of Finance, the Minister for Trade, and myself, to address the issue of agricultural finance. And it's not doing anything. So what we are trying to do now is to resort to legislation. Okay. That is our job. Because in India, every 100 rupees that a commercial bank lends, at least 20% of it should go into our...
What will be our threshold?
Well, I don't know at this stage.
You don't know. But you'll be advising the president on what to do within
at
the
this
sector.
Stage, is the principle of it that is important.
But the money is also key.
Yeah. But that's a second stage question. If the principle is not there, you can't talk about...
Well, we have the principle now, Doctor.
No, we haven't. No, we don't.
We don't have the principle.
No. The principle is to translate into law. That is my job. To prepare a paper to cabinet, a memorandum which will be accepted. Then the Attorney General will take that memorandum, prepare a bill, we will present it to Parliament. If Parliament passes it, it becomes law. So every bank will have to.
But out of law will emanate policy, which you will have to spearhead.
Yes. But we haven't reached that stage.
I'm interested.
No, I will let you know when it gets to that stage. At this stage is the concept and the memorandum that we are looking at.
So I'm looking at the data as you put out. 2017, 2018, we aimed at 200,000 farmers to raise that figure from 2017 to 1.6 by 2020. Now, you gave a budgetary allocation of 3.3 billion, and then which supposes that 750 million was spent annually. So far, you tell us that we have spent, 2.6 billion cedis invested in planting for food and jobs.
No. Please, don't get me wrong. In subsidizing seed and fertilizer alone.
Okay. How many farmers have benefited?
1.6 million farmers. 2018, we took an agricultural census, counting the number of farmers, which by UN standards we should do every 10 years, and we hadn't done for nearly 40 years. We did it. The number of farmers in Ghana are just about 3 million, which means that planting for food and jobs, the food security arm of planting for food and jobs, has reached only half of the farmers in Ghana. And even with that half, look at the wonders that it's doing. So if we were to go and further and benefit, provide the facility to all the 3 million plus farmers in Ghana, that would be what I'll call the transformation that this country needs.
But in that census, 2017, 2018, that great census that the Statistical Service did, it says that more than 50% of our farm holders are old people who may not necessarily be lettered and are not interested in the mechanization agenda that you're pushing.
But you're wrong.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm quoting from what Professor Samuel Enim did. That these are old people. Number
when
one,
you say old people, what do you mean?
Well, people
define who is old.
Old people. I mean, cutlass wielding old people in the farms. I mean, and I'm not quoting this. This is the Statistical Service data. So old people who have gone beyond 50, getting into the 60.
Your data is there for you to.
Yes.
So when you define old people, which category? You have to be scientific about this. if you
So the statistical service got it, because I'm quoting from the statistical service. And I'm saying that they say most of our farm holders are old people. In fact, they quote
but the figures are here. Please, you address it here.
Right.
Let's be scientific.
Okay.
When you say old people, what age do you categorize as old people? Or what age are they categorized as old?
People who have gone past 50, 60, are they not getting old?
Okay, so that's 50, 60.
Right.
You look at the figures.
Can you project the figures? The Agric Minister is interested in our figures.
Yes, of course. That's where the answer lies.
Right. So project the figures. Let's get to see them. Now, the statistical service, for example, says that the majority of our farm holders, old people, and then the other factor is that they may not necessarily be literate, which means that what you are pushing to them in terms of this whole concept of mechanization may be lost on them because they're largely subsistence farmers.
Why are you saying that? Please, don't denigrate our farmers.
No, I'm not denigrating them. I am quoting from the statistical service.
They won't say that. Which page of the statistical service?
They did a pamphlet, a yellow pamphlet that said
please, where is it? I will challenge you. Statistical service will never make such a statement. That
our farm holders are not old people?
No.
In your village, for example? In your village, for example,
you are saying that.
I am asking you, sir, in your village, where you come from,
yes,
the farmers in your community,
yes,
are they young people?
There are a lot of young people.
There are a lot of young people.
Yes.
What percentage of young people? What percentage of grown people?
The point
that's the same thing.
The point that you make, that because they are illiterate, they cannot use machinery and so on, is what I'm challenging you to. They are much smarter than you have an impression that you are given. They are much smarter. The same people that you are talking about have been able to create a world-class cocoa industry for 130 years, which is what has been holding this country all these years. I hope you are following what I'm saying.
I'm following you.
What do you say to that? You are not following what I'm saying.
So I'm trying to find it because you're asking me where it is. I'm trying to pull that up for you. But it raises a critical question that we still have a lot more people doing subsistence farming. So, for example, I'm looking at the policy of support in terms of subsidies. I mean, you talk about the fact that it is not a question of the food not being available, but it is people trying to profiteer, disparities of the prices from the farm gates to the markets. You have said that. Now, in terms of subsidy, for example, what is your policy regarding electricity reduction for farmers?
No, we don't have any policy.
Regarding fuel subsidies for those who may use the tractors, regarding fertilizer, regarding labor, and all of those things that come into it. Because you tend to be looking just at, those who are packing the food, putting onto the truck, fuel prices, and then bringing it onto the market. But labor is part of it. Fuel in the farm is part of it. Electricity usage is part of it. Labor is part of it. Those who harvest are part of it. All of that costs the farmer money. So it would affect the pricing.
Yes. So what's your point?
So my point is that you say food is available, but on the market it's expensive. And that's because that transfer of the cost, the overheads, will be slapped on the food.
Of course. Yes.
So the people are right when they say food is expensive.
Of course, I'm not saying food is cheap.
But you said a bunch of the plantain costs falsities.
No, please, I haven't said that on this program.
Not this program, you have said
2 years ago, I said that. But the situation has changed. Of course, who doesn't admit that the food is expensive? And food is not only expensive in Ghana, food is expensive globally. Everywhere food is expensive because of what is happening to the global economy.
Right. I see. Let's talk about cocoa. Cocoa industry seems to be shrinking. Now it's under your watch. It used to be under the finance minister, but it's now under you.
When you say shrinking, what do you mean?
Well, in
terms of
the yield.
No.
Metric tons.
No. If you're talking about yield,
right?
Yield is production per acre or per hectare.
Right.
So you have evidence to show that the average yield of cocoa production in Ghana has fallen.
Right.
Bring it.
Because
it's not true.
What was your target for 2021, for example?
No, we don't have targets for yields for cocoa. We don't.
Not at all.
No.
Because I hear 1 million metric tons. You keep quoting figures.
No, that's production. So you are mixing two things.
Right. I'm not an
total.
I'm not an agronomist.
But please, if you have to talk about these things, you have to know exactly what these terms mean and what, so that we can have a good conversation.
Right.
You are talking about 1 million metric. That's total production.
Right.
It's not yield.
Now, are you hitting that target?
What target? We don't have a target. We have production.
Are you hitting the production target?
Which target?
I'm sure you understand what I mean.
No, I don't. Because we don't have a target. We don't have targets.
You don't have a target at all?
No. We're saying that we are growing a sector. When we started this conversation, I'm just telling you about the rate of growth year from year, what it is. And I'm saying that the whole sector, production, the growth of the agricultural sector has been accelerating the last 3-4 years. And I've given you figures to that
What
effect.
percentage of it is the cocoa sector? Is the cocoa sector growing under you? Let me put it that way.
Cocoa sector has been stagnant, I would say. Total production. You know, 2009, we hit 1 million tons for the first time. Last year, we repeated that. That's from 2009 to 2013. So it means that it's on a kind of a plateau. Year it goes up, it goes down. This year we're expecting a lower production.
Why?
Oh, because of the nature of the tree. If it yields heavily, it takes so much resources out of the soil. So the following year, we expect that it will go down. It doesn't stay at the same level.
Cocoa has a gestation period of 4 years.
Yes, 4 or 5 years.
So under you, we should have had by now the cocoa trees you planted in 2017 should have grown by now.
No, but we don't plant cocoa trees every year.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying what you planted in 2017. If you agree that it has a gestation period of 4 to 5 years, by now it should have grown and be yielding for us.
Yes.
Okay. So where is the yield?
What do you mean by where is the yield? The yield is a part of the production.
But you say it keeps coming down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That every year, if you have a high yield, the next year your yield will come down.
Okay.
And then it goes up and it comes down. So it's a fluctuating thing. It's not something, it's not a straight line, or it's not a straight plateau. It goes up and down, depending upon the weather, all kinds of things happen. So we don't have targets in agriculture. We just have to see how the policy is impacting on growth. That's what we do.
And how is yours impacting on growth?
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. On cocoa,
right.
Well, cocoa is fluctuating. Okay, that's what I'm saying. From 2009, we hit 1 million. The next 1 million was last year, 2020, 2021. This year, we don't expect us to stay there. It will come down. Next year, it may go up, and so on. So that is something.
Are cocoa farmers trading off their land to real estate, people losing it to galamsey?
Well, I mean, occasionally you hear reports, but we are talking about a huge amount of acreage under cocoa. So if you say that in Takwa, somewhere 2 miles from Takwa, somebody has sold their cocoa farm for galamsey, it doesn't mean that cocoa is lost. It doesn't mean that at all. These are incidents which come, but it is not. The industry is very healthy. You know that we have a Tree Crop Development Authority, which is trying to diversify out of cocoa into rubber, into oil palm, into cashew, into 6 related crops. That is doing very well. Started very well. In 2020, the president inaugurated the authority, and they are very much at it, trying to promote production of these diversified crops.
What is your relationship with the health ministry? I'm asking this because you know that production of, say, tablets and capsules, cornstarch, maize starch, very important to that sector. You have been planting maize.
Everything.
Right.
Everything, yes.
Right. What is the relationship such that we stop the high importation of these things and have them done locally for us?
These are industrial products. That's a different ministry altogether. I do the raw material. The industrialization of it, the processing and so on.
Do they procure from you locally?
From us?
Yes.
Obviously, if they are there, they will it's
Do you
automatic.
know if they procure?
I don't know.
You don't know if they procure?
No.
The Agric ministry is a very important ministry. And since you want to be president, some would say this should be your scorecard to give the people hope and confidence in you.
Who said I'm going to be?
Well, we've seen your billboards around.
If you see my billboards, doesn't mean that I want
that
to be president.
you don't want to be president.
Who doesn't want to be president? You don't want to be president.
Do you want to be president?
But you want to be president. So let's put aside and let's talk about
You have
agriculture.
no presidential ambitions.
You are putting words in my mouth.
No, I'm asking you. I've seen your billboards. No. I saw them in town.
If you see billboards, you see a lot of billboards. It doesn't mean that
Are you responsible for those billboards?
No, I'm not.
You don't know about them at all? So when some PLA says that you've planted more billboards than you planted food.
It's a joke. I mean, I go and dig, and I mean, you should know better than that. You should. If people are making jokes, and you think they're serious, well, I would go and put an axe in the ground and put a billboard for myself. You should be more serious than that.
But will you want to be president one day?
Of course. Who doesn't want to go to the highest level in there? I'm a politician. If you say, and I've been a member of parliament.
Right.
You understand? Yes, so why not? I mean, if the people who decide that I should be the one, I'll be too honored.
Yesterday, you brought in some new machinery. It's part of an arrangement you have with the Brazilian government. This will be the final tranche, correct? And you say farmers should take advantage of this and move into the mechanization or the mechanized agric agenda. What would this benefit? How would this benefit the Ghanaian farmer?
I don't understand
the machines that you're bringing in now.
Of course, it's to help improve productivity. Yes.
And it's available for them to come and acquire.
Well, you saw the pictures.
So where can they acquire them from?
They just have to come to the ministry.
And then they can just walk in and get some.
Yeah,
or what's the arrangement?
Well, the arrangement is that they apply to us. We have to be sure that they are actual farmers and their farms are there. So they have to get a recommendation from their district directors of agriculture who are in the areas that they are farming. If they certify that, yes, this person has so many acres and it is worth him or group of farmers together, this is the list. They are together, they have so many acres of corn, so many acres of this and that and that, and they recommend. Then the recommendation will go to the regional director of agriculture, who will then pass it on to us at the ministry, and we assess it, and then we send them the invoice for them to come and pay and take them away at 60% of the price, because the government of Akufo-Addo has decided that we will subsidize these machinery 40%.
Okay.
If it's $100 landed at the port of Tema, the farmer pays $60 equivalent.
Okay.
The people of Ghana take 40% equivalent. So it's a very generous arrangement to encourage farmers to mechanize. And these machines are a whole range from those with small holdings like 5, 10 acres to the big ones, 1,000 acres. We have the whole range of farm machinery and that is a major component of Planting for Food and Jobs. You see, Planting for Food and Jobs has 5 modules. Every time we sat here for about an hour or so, 75% of it has been on one module, which is the food security module. But there are 4 other equally important modules. We have the tree crop module, which is to diversify away from cocoa into other tree crops. We have the vegetable module, which is 3 villages that we have created in Dawinya, in Ofinso, and in the central region. And then that is the 3 crop-based modules. Then we have the livestock module, and we have the machinery module. What we saw yesterday was the machinery module, where we are encouraging mechanization in our agricultural economy. And that is going very well. People are now going into agriculture because of Planting for Food and Jobs. They've seen a lot of opportunities coming up. And so we are trying to facilitate that by introducing machine.
So someone said you said that doctors who are leaving their profession to come into farming.
Yes, I saw 2 of them only recently.
Where is that?
Around Asamankasi. And it's all over. It's not just doctors.
The doctors are leaving the wards to go and farm.
This is what I'm saying. I saw 2 of them within a space of 3 hours in Asamankasi only a month ago. One is doing coconut plantation, and the other was doing maize, cassava with his family, his parents, and they are doing that.
Medical doctors.
Yeah, they just hanged up their stethoscope and are farming because it pays much more than what they're doing, and they find that agriculture is very interesting. There are a lot of people who are moving into agriculture, and loads and loads and loads all over the country.
And they are finding access to funds.
Well, that's obviously. I mean, it's
because
not
you need the funds.
Without that, they wouldn't have gone in. Without that, they wouldn't have gone into agriculture.
Are you still a member of the economic management team? Solid economic management team.
Yeah, I am a member of the economic management team.
Are you happy with the way the economy is running?
Well, I mean, we have been hit by external factors. Before these global crisis came, our economy was growing. We were one of the leading countries in terms of economic growth. We are doing 6.3%, 7 point something percent, and then we've been hit like all economies around the world. Even the great America is suffering. The European Union countries, our own ECOWAS region, we're all sweating under the weight of what is happening outside us, and we are doing the best we can to show up.
Exchange rate is dancing calypso.
Yes.
And that's not good for farmers.
It's not good for anybody. Forget about farmers.
I'm talking about the people under your watch.
No. Forget about that. This is a global phenomenon. Inflation in America, what is it? 38-year high. In the United Kingdom, how many years high? I mean, you should know that it is not exclusively to Ghana. If you read wide, you will know that globally, every economy is suffering. It's not just Ghana. We cannot isolate ourselves from what is happening because we have what we call in economics an open economy. If you have an open economy, the moment that there's the world economy catches a cold, you sneeze. And that's what we are going through.
My final question to you. The president has reposed confidence in his ministers. He has shut down the calls for him to reshuffle or give some people the boot, even from within the NPP foot soldiers. That should make you happy, that the president finds you worthy enough to retain your position.
Yeah, but why not? If your boss thinks that you are doing a good job, you want to protest against that?
But some have asked for your sack.
Well, everybody is asking for anybody, but that is not the point.
Have you discharged?
The person who appoints me is the one who can sack me. If somebody asked for me to be sacked, he's not a person. He's not an appointing authority. You understand? And from what I have given you this morning, the work at the Ministry of Agriculture is strong and unprecedented. We haven't, if you go back 30 years, look at the rate of growth of agriculture, the sector. Go back, and you will see exactly the objective assessment of what I'm saying. We are very proud of what we are doing for Mother Ghana in these crisis years, a global crisis where everybody is suffering food shortages. People are coming to our country to take surpluses. That should be a big.
But we're importing almost everything.
And we are
Tomatoes,
exporting
fish.
Yes, and we are exporting
oils,
almost everything.
Rice, everything.
No, it's not everything. We are also exporting everything. This is what I'm saying. It's an open economy. It's not a closed economy.
Okay.
So we need to distinguish between that, and you can never say that we are the only economy that will be exporting everything and not importing anything. We import, we export. That's international trade, and that is healthy for any economy in this country.
When will the price of kinky drop?
Price of kinky?
Yeah.
Well, I cannot tell you.
Why can't you?
Why? Why can I?
If the maize is cheap, the price will drop.
Well, the maize will be cheap.
When?
Well, when the factors which have brought about the increases go away. We're talking about the external influences on these prices. When the price of petrol goes down from 100 and now at 101 dollars per barrel to $20 per barrel, then it will be Kenke will be cheap.
Doc, I thank you very much for your time. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Owusu-Afriyie Akoto. He's a minister responsible for Agric. He's been giving us some answers and telling us about some of the initiatives at the Ministry of Agric. We'll see you after the break. There's more here on New Day. Thanks to Sonar Fashions in Tamale for my outfit 0246 590 1682. That's 0246 590 1682. See you after the break.